And if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens.
Erik Dean Prince is an American businessman, a former U.S. Navy SEAL officer, and the founder of the private military company Blackwater. This man has made some quite astonished remarks about Africa and some other countries, which is quite shocking. Let's watch this video. I will be right back.
All this talk of illegal migration in Europe, in the United States, it ultimately comes down to a contest of what is governance. Who is governed? Which countries are governed well? And if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens, because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually making their country better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Erik Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes. Enough. Because if you go to these countries and you see how they suffer under absolutely corrupt, made-up governments that are just criminal syndicates, the people of Africa, the people of Latin America, a lot of them deserve better. Now, some countries are really getting it together. Look at what El Salvador did. Bukele, murder capital of Latin America, he said, no more. Now El Salvador is safer than Prince William County.
And he took
just south of Washington, D.C. He put all the MS-13 guys
in prison.
Ecuador, about to do the same thing. New president there. The previous presidential candidate had been assassinated, but new guy gets elected. He announces he's contracted with the same building contractor that they built the prisons in El Salvador, going to build them in Ecuador. The prisoners there, the cartels revolt and try to take over the capital in Ecuador a couple weeks ago. So it's not all bad. There's some great governance.
Argentina.
I like Argentina. God bless Milei. I mean, yes. So, but the countries that cannot fix themselves, particularly in Africa, the worst, it's time to think about other governance options, because they are clearly not capable of self-governance.
Or bringing the professionalism they need to capitalize on their own natural resources.
And the most of all, stop the aid programs, which really only benefit the elites in those countries to the detriment of the little guys.
Or it's benefiting China, right? Who's taking over building infrastructure.
Sure, because China doesn't care about the governance. They do black bag diplomacy, paying cash to the right people to get what they need signed, and they're on their way.
Wow. So that was Erik Dean Prince. You can't fault him on this comment. No one can fault him. No African can fault him, because most of the Western countries, that is what they think. Most of they still have the colonial mindset, and he accepted that. The host asked him, are you suggesting of recolonialism? And he said yes. Yeah, he's suggesting recolonialism. So most of them, that is what they think. Just that at the moment, how the world looks is difficult to go to someone's continent or country to colonize him. But it seems that option is still on their table. And majority of them, that is what they think. And as I said, we can't fault him for the comment, because that is how our leaders the pictures our leaders has shows the Western countries that we are not capable of managing our own affairs. Majority of African leaders has been beggars, has been beggars in front of the Western countries. Recently there was a summit called Italy Africa Summit, and they called all our leaders and buzzed them to one leader for them to sit with him to talk of things that is not even going to benefit Africa in any way, because this summit has been going on for years and our leaders still attending such summits, which has never yielded any results. So you still can't fault them of having a mindset of recolonized Africa. That is what he said. He said they still have options of recolonizing Africa. And when I introduce him, you can see this man he's also owns a private military company called Blackwater. So he knows what he's talking about. He understands what he's talking about. And as I said, majority of them, this is how they think. So Africa and African leaders, what are we doing? What are we doing? As much as I want to blame African leaders of doing this, I also can't generally blame them, because these people, the Western countries, has forced a governing system on Africans so that these situations which is happening, the illegal migrations which he is talking about, the illegal migration is happening because majority of African countries are practicing this so-called democratic system. The democratic system, which has been an evil in the neck of Africans. The democratic system which were left and is forcing on Africans. Majority of African leaders has been supported by the Western countries, and this is all planned. It has been planned to get the result of what we are getting today. Democratic system is run by elites. Democratic system is run by people that has been given power to do what they want. Majority of leaders in Africa are abusing power because that is what is mean to them, but being democratic system. These leaders has been supported by many Africans, and the surprising thing is, any leader who try to do otherwise, who try to make sure his country comes first before anything else, is eliminated by the same people who are now telling us we are mismanaging our resources. Let's talk of leaders like Patrice Lumumba. Let's talk of leaders like Gaddafi. Gaddafi was doing well in Libya, but who eliminated him? Majority of leaders who were doing well, who have good intentions for this continent, were assassinated by the same people who are now telling us our leaders are mismanaging our resources. So their option is to come and instill correct government system for us, the citizens, to benefit from our resources. No, you are not coming to instill any governing system for us to benefit. The world is getting messed up. Russia war, Israel and Palestinian war. A lot of things are happening which a majority of the countries are now shying away from the US dollars, and a lot of enlightening are happening across the world, and somehow along the line, some countries are going to have a very bad situation some years to come when it comes to economy. So somehow along the line, people are planning to recolonize some countries so that they can come and steal their resources to enrich themselves. We have witnessed some before. We have witnessed how some countries will lie to the world that some countries are producing nuclear weapons, and they will end up going there and attack them, kill their leaders, and steal their resources, including oil, including gold. Yes, we understand that. You don't mean well for Africa. You don't give a hoot about how African leaders treat their citizens. You just want to get your hands on our resources. And as I said, you can't fault them because at the end of the day, our leaders is in bed with them and they are listening to whatever they say. Some African countries are submitting their countries to IMF. Some African countries are begging for just $6 billion US because they have mismanaged their own resources. So are you going to fault him? We can't fault Prince. I can dare you that some illegal migrants can survive in their own country, but it's because of how we have painted the world to be. I know people who have their own houses who were living well in Ghana, but decided to sell their houses and travel to Europe. All because when you travel to Europe, people see you to be, people respect you in your community or in your society. When you travel to Europe, that is the mindset we have as Africans. If you think illegal migration is causing havoc in your country, what should you do? Why don't you deport them back to their country? Because I don't remember anybody sleeping hunger in the street of Ghana. Yes, recently people have been traveling to Ghana, and when they come to Ghana or when they travel to any other African countries, what they realize is they have been lied to. We have enough food here. We have enough resources here. We can survive. So why don't you deport them back to Africa instead of sitting on some podcast to suggest that if our leaders don't take care, you are going to recolonize Africa? That shows that these people has never regretted colonizing Africa. They still even have the option of doing that again if the opportunity comes. If you think illegal migration is causing havoc, just deport them. Just strengthen your ports. Just strengthen your borders. Make sure there is no illegal migrants that can enter your country. If they are able to enter the country, you have systems that can verify them or that can find them, that can lead to deportation. Why don't you do that? Why don't you deport them? Because illegal migrants help build your country. You know that. That manual jobs that illegal migrants do in your country or does in your country, you won't do it. Cleaning floors, taking care of older women, that manual jobs, you are not going to do it. So illegal migrants don't affect you. You are just bringing that up so that you can use it as advantage to attack another country or attack another continent. Because you have enough resources, US have enough resources. You have been giving money, huge money for Ukraine. You have been giving them money for wars. You have been giving money to Israel for wars. You have been giving money to other, how should I put it? unnecessary wars. So you want to tell me you can't use the same money to build system that can notice illegal migrants to deport them back to their country? Because I'm telling you, you can deport every Ghanaian, every Nigerian, every Kenyan, every Somalian from US, and when they come back to their country, they are not going to sleep. They are not going to be hungry. As I said, some leaders or some African leaders has made these people talk anyhow to us. They sometimes think we are some idiots in the African continent. We don't have brains. We don't know how to think for ourselves. We don't have the capability of ruling our own government because of how some leaders, some greedy leaders, has presented Africa to these people. Please join my Telegram group by going to the description box, click on the link, and join me on Telegram as we discuss about the well-being of Africa. Don't also forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. Thanks for watching.